Now, does Xi Jinping enjoy absolute power? Does he ever face any protest in China? Those who follow China often grapple with these questions. Many of you have written to us asking the same. Does he have any meaningful opposition? How can a country of more than 1.4 billion people not have a challenger to Xi Jinping? Well, sometimes we get reports of dissent in the Communist Party of China, but they never amount to anything. Tonight, though, we come to you with a different story. You could call it the most meaningful dissent that Xi has faced in his tenure. Tonight, we have a rare dissent note, an open letter written by 3 insiders. And this letter targets the Chinese president in a way we've never seen before. Radio Free Asia has published this report. Leading China watchers are all talking about it. This is the story they've published. Letter says Chinese Communist Party is too powerful, warns against personality cult. The letter does not name Xi Jinping, but the allusion is evident. There is only one leader with a personality cult in today's China, and that leader is Xi Jinping. And this letter is a scathing attack on his grip on power. And it's getting a lot of attention because the authors are high profile. They're said to be 3 officials of the Communist Party, Dong Hong, Yi Ma-gui-chuan, and Tian Chi-zuang. Who are these people? We've not been able to verify their credentials, but this report says that they're party elders. That's how it refers to them, as party elders, meaning they're senior members of the Communist Party of China. They've held senior positions in the government. You can think of them as retired officials who now advise the government. That's exactly what they seem to be doing here in the letter, advising the Communist Party of China. These party elders are calling for sweeping changes. They want the Communist Party's charter amended. Their objections are very specific. They're against the unlimited power of the Communist Party. They refer to the party constitution, specifically about a recent amendment. And this amendment was added in the year 2017. And this change was quite controversial. It said that the party will lead, quote unquote, everything in China. Let me tell you what the amendment says. It says the leadership of the CCP is the fundamental feature and the greatest advantage of socialism with Chinese characteristics. Party, government, military, civilian and academic, east, west, south, north and center, the party leads everything. Now, interesting fact. This exact phrase, the one that I just read out for you, was coined by Mao Zedong, the father of modern-day China. It was removed during the Deng Xiaoping years. Xi Jinping brought it back. It was meant to underline his absolute power, and now he's facing a backlash over it. Let me quote more from the dissent note. This is what the party leaders say about that sweeping amendment from 2017. This phrase first appeared during the Cultural Revolution on Mao Zedong's instructions so as to restore order as soon as possible, but has no wider meaning. The main problem the country faces today is that the party committees have too much power and their reach is overly long. For the party to lead everything goes against common sense and against logic. So those are the objections. And this is basically a scathing attack on Xi Jinping's leadership style. Remember, he holds all key positions in the Chinese government. Xi Jinping is the president of China, which makes him the head of the Chinese state. He is also the general secretary of the Communist Party. This position comes with extraordinary powers. The general secretary is the highest ranking official in the country, in China. He can convene meetings of top decision-making bodies. He is also in charge of the secretariat that looks after day-to-day work. And that's not all. Xi Jinping also holds another powerful post. He is the chairman of the Central Military Commission, which makes him the de facto head of the Chinese military too. So the Chinese state, the Communist Party, and the Chinese military, all of them report directly to Xi Jinping. And this centralization of power is exactly what the party leaders are worried about. They believe this could have dire consequences. Again, I quote from their letter. This is what they've said. The cult of personality is likely to make a comeback, and the tragedy of the Cultural Revolution may be repeated. Quite a grave warning. The Cultural Revolution, again, was started by Mao. He used it to purge his enemies and establish complete control over China. The campaign went on for a decade. As many as 2 million people are said to have died during this time. It was one of the darkest periods in Chinese history, the Cultural Revolution. And now, Communist Party leaders are worried that that period could return. That's because Xi Jinping won't tolerate dissent. In the month of May this year, he threatened the top leadership. There was growing opposition against zero COVID, especially after the draconian lockdown in Shanghai. China was reporting its worst outbreak in Wuhan. We told you about all of this. People had started questioning the feasibility of zero COVID, and that was when Xi Jinping issued a warning. Here's what he said. We will resolutely struggle against all words and deeds that doubt, distort and deny our epidemic prevention policies. So the message was quite clear. Do not question zero COVID. That's what Xi Jinping was telling his people and the party leaders. Despite his tough stance, he could not crush all voices of dissent. In recent weeks, the Communist Party has faced several protests. People have taken to the streets. Last month, hundreds of depositors launched a campaign that lost their deposits due to bank failures. The Chinese state responded with a violent crackdown. Then there was a major mortgage boycott. Home buyers stopped paying their EMIs. That's because the builders had not given them their apartments. 320 projects in 100 cities were affected. We don't know if these loan repayments have resumed or not. Today, the Communist Party of China is struggling with a long list of problems: a financial crisis, the collapse of the property sector, an unprecedented drought, sweeping power cuts, and of course, a raging Wuhan virus. The conditions are ripe to fuel dissent. Perhaps that is what emboldened these party leaders, these party elders, to write a letter of dissent. It is a rare and bold critique of the Chinese leadership. You see, the Chinese Communist Party is surprisingly candid about its true intentions when it comes to issues like Taiwan or Hong Kong or taking on the US or claiming disputed territories. But as an organization, the Communist Party is opaque. The inner workings are never made public. Even more rare are voices of dissent being made public. And when such voices do get out, it never ends well for the dissenters. Since Xi Jinping took power, he has purged hundreds of his potential, even imagined rivals and dissenters. So perhaps the authors of this letter will also meet the same fate. We do hope they're safe, and we hope what they've said finds takers in Xi Jinping's China. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.